Hello, everybody, and this is another episode of BBL. My name is Brandon, and I'm by myself tonight, but that's all good. I still have a lot to talk to you about. Like I said, I'm alone tonight, but that's because Bree is currently dealing with some family things. And by family things, I mean she decided to go visit her little brother for his birthday. So she is currently out of town to go do that because he is going for his graduate outside of Lubbock. So she decided to go and do that with her brother John, and yeah, so there's that. But just to let you know, this week, this episode, not week, week. BBL is actually Bring Brotherly Love. And I tried to think of a good B word instead of brotherly to help show that we need to be kind to everybody, because love is a different way of saying be kind to everyone around you, no matter their gender, where they are on the spectrum. Just be kind to them. This is actually episode 10, and I know that we said on episode 5 that every 5 episodes that we would do a snacks episode, but I guess we're gonna have to save that for next week. So yeah, so look forward for that. Look forward to that. That's going to be fun. Just to help me really get into full details, because there's a psychological thing saying that if you want to try to remember something, you have to be in the same state of mind that you were at that time. And so I have had a few drinks to help me remember everything that happened about the trivia night that we're going to be talking about. But before that, I did get a few bits of information from Bree and Eddie before doing this recording to see how they're doing, because like I said, Bree is currently out of town and is going out to enjoy John's birthday. So she is I think she left not too long before this recording to go do it. But also enjoying some family time. But something else that she did also want to share is that apparently this is not something common, or at least as far as I know, that they do at their workplace. But she has gotten her workplace to do costumes for Halloween. So I do hope that you are going to be able to dress for Halloween. I think this episode is going to be dropping after Halloween. So please, I would love to see what you've actually have dressed up as. So it may be late, but it's never too late to show off what you did. I am still working on my costume. I am, if you remember a few episodes ago, I've talked about how I'm doing Perry the Platypus. Patty the Platypus. I'm still working on it. I'm still not done. The zipper has kind of given me a bit of a challenge, but that's because I'm also a bit of perfectionist. I am a lazy perfectionist where I just kind of want it done, but I'm just it's not good enough. So I'm still working on it. I'm almost there to where I can almost wear it as pajamas, because it's just a little onesie. So that'll be exciting whenever it's done. And whenever it's done, I'll see if I can remember to take pictures of it to show on the podcast. But other than that, that's all I've got for Bree. For Eddie, the only news that I've got, because he's been busy being newsing and all that, but he is alive. I will tell you that. He is alive. I don't know when we're going to get him back on an episode, but he is alive and still doing well. I still talk to him. I still see his Snapchat stories, so don't worry. So yeah, but on my end, I've just now, as of today, I'm feeling so much better because I've actually been recently feeling sick. I think it's actually because of the weather change, because here in Lubbock, I think we've had a really strong cold front come through. It's been I think the last I saw was in the 50s or the 40s coming through for Lubbock, and that apparently was a big enough drop to have my body be no, I'm sorry, we're going to take a time out. So I haven't even been able to go work out because of how I've been feeling. But other than that, we're all good. I haven't really had anything else go like with me, but I will say for Pokemon news, there is something that there's a lot that has been going on for Pokemon news. We've had this huge leak happen. If you haven't heard of it already, please go check it out at your own risk, because I know that there's going to be a point where Game Freak is going to try to shut it down just completely. Doesn't matter who you are, they are going to shut you down if you try to talk about the leaks or even show anything about the leaks. Mainly because there's also like been some personal information that was hacked, because that's what's happened. There was a hacker that got into Game Freak's systems and got all this information and just leaked it out. Now, what that information is just information about beta designs for Pokemon, designs that got cut, thoughts and concepts that went through where they were like, oh yeah, we're totally going to go for that, but then they got cut and were used for either later generations or just not used at all. So look at that at your own will if you want. Another thing that was that happened is which I think, and this is something that I've seen online, is that people think that Game Freak did this just to kind of help distract from the leaks, is that they have announced that a shiny Meloetta, the first time ever for it to be a shiny, has been announced. But what you have to do is you have to complete all 3 Pokedexes for Paldea, Kitakami, and the Blueberry Academy for the Scarlet and Violet games on Pokemon Home. And let me tell you, that is a task. Just doing that in game, doing it in Pokemon Home, where the Pokemon has to be registered to that game, can be a task. So after this podcast, I'm probably going to be making a list of all the Pokemon that I like have to have registered from. Goodness, it's going to be a long list, but basically every Pokemon that I need from the Paldea region or the Scarlet Violet games that I will need to bring into Pokemon Home that were caught in Scarlet and Violet. So that's going to be quite a while. But the only other thing that I have to talk about besides my costume, which, like I said, it's coming along. I'm almost done. I just need to finish the zipper area. I need to get the arm and leg holes done because I want a little bit of elastic there, so that way they kind of stop. Best way to put it, I kind of want it like a baseball shirt, but I want it to have that elastic end on both the arms and the legs. So that's kind of what I'm wanting. And then I'll work on the hood. And I know the hood is going to be a bit of an issue, but I know I can do it. So the only other thing that I do have to talk about for my personal news is I will be going on a work trip soon. It will be between this when this episode is recorded to whenever it's posted. But I have more or less set up a duck hunt game for everybody at the home office of my occupation. Just to have fun. I'm still working out like tiny details like prizes and all that, but once that's taken care of, that'll be it. And really it'll just be like sending an email out to everyone, be like, hey, this is the game, this is how it works. If you don't play by our rules, then you're out. Have fun, because we're going for the 5th anniversary of our job, so that'll be exciting, and I'll let everybody know how that goes on the next recording of the podcast, just so that way everybody knows that the duck hunt was a success, because it was the last time that we just decided to randomly hide lots of ducks. I think I've got about 240 ducks. So that'll be exciting to see how everybody reacts. I really do hope that I do hope that they like it. But with that, since it's just me, I do have notes about our trivia game that we had a week ago. I was not able to go this week because I wasn't feeling well, but I still have my notes from when I went last week, and I wanted to talk about some of the questions that we had. I'm going to try to keep this not too long since it is just myself, but I am going to try to keep this long enough that it can be an episode. And I'm also going to try to talk about questions that I for sure remember, because as we all know, my memory is not the best, but there are definitely some random times that I can remember everything. So let's see if that happens. All right, so we're going to be talking about our round one questions, where we are doing Ryan's games, and if you missed last week's episode, please go listen to that, because World of Beer is no longer with us, or at least here in Lubbock. So we're having to go to a different trivia game, and Ryan is one that Bree has been going to for quite a while. So we went last week, or at least I went last week for the first time. I think a few others went this past week, and still had fun. So the rules and the setup were different, but there were still 6 rounds. So we're still going off that, but we're not given as much time between questions. We're only given 30 seconds between each question, which I think with how the questions are set up, is not bad. So, I think just to make it easier on Ryan, if you're listening to this, maybe shorten it, maybe do 5, but then you'd have to make the questions harder and give everybody about a minute to think before going on to the next one. That's the only other thing that I can really think, because right now, with how it is, granted, I've only had one game, that I can think really that's the only other way. But either way, we're going into round 1, where this was our general knowledge round, and each round is different. Round 6 will be a little harder to talk about because it's all about one-hit wonders, so I may not talk about that one. But round 1, we're going to be talking about round 1, question 1, where we were asked what fast food restaurant has started selling a well-known sandwich from a cartoon show that's Under the Sea. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, there is only one Under the Sea show that has a restaurant in it. I can't think of another one, or at least as well known as this one. And that's the Krabby Patty. Because, the Krabby Patty is the best. Sold by Mr. Krabs, but made by SpongeBob himself. And there's only one restaurant that I know of. And by the time this recording goes off, there might be another one. But as of right now, as of recording, there's only one that I am aware of, and that is Wendy's. So Wendy's is the only one that is currently doing the Krabby Patty. And I'm kind of scared to go check it out, but I know that if I do, and they do it right, that it's going to be awesome. And granted, with it being a cartoon, Krabby Patty is one of those sandwiches that you can make yourself and also just kind of make it your own. You can kind of get creative. You're allowed to get creative on how you think the Krabby Patty is. I know that my dad, whenever I was super young, I think I was maybe probably probably still in middle school, that he made us Krabby Patties because we were all big fans of SpongeBob. That was something that we all sat down and watched. That he made Krabby Patties, and it was delicious. I think he put maybe a bit of brown sugar with the meat to really sweeten it up, but give it a nice crust with it. I don't remember what he did, but it's stuff like that. You're allowed to get creative with anything that's really just not real, just to get what you imagine to be the real thing. So if you want to make a Krabby Patty and it turns out those oh gosh, those unspeakable messes, go for it. That is your Krabby Patty. You made it. That is how you envision it. Go for it. But that is a question that we got right. And I will say, since that was just the first question, we had almost a perfect game. I will not be talking about all the questions that we got right or wrong, but that was the first question that we got for that game. Now, I will talk about the last question, question number 10 for this round, where we were asked, what is happening on November 3rd? What is happening on November 3rd? So the first thing that people thought of that was going to be like happening for that date is the election. Unfortunately, that is not right because that is actually a Sunday. That is the Sunday right after Halloween, which, kind of doing some calendar math, Halloween this year lands on a Thursday. So that means November 1st is going to be on a Friday, meaning the 2nd and the 3rd are a Saturday and Sunday. Well, let's see. I think someone mentioned the Day of the Dead, which I'm not going to try pronouncing that in Spanish because I might say something different. That is not happening until November 2nd, not the 1st, which usually I thought it would, but I know that November 1st is also Saints Day, All Saints Day, because if there's an eve, there's a day. So All Hallows Eve, Halloween, All Saints Day is November 1st. November 2nd is Day of the Dead. I throw in, what if it's Diwali? Which, if you don't know what Diwali is, it's a festival of lights celebrated in India. And it's one of those that it doesn't necessarily land on the same day every year, kind of like how Thanksgiving does, but it's about the same time. Thanksgiving and Hanukkah. That's the best way to think of it. So if you think of it that way, then you're really not sure when Diwali is going to land, but it lands about the same time. Kind of like how Thanksgiving is always the third Thursday, or is it the fourth? Either way, Thanksgiving is always a Thursday. So, and I don't remember how Hanukkah is actually calculated, but either way, like I said, Diwali is one of those holidays that isn't a specific day. It's always like a certain time of the calendar, but I couldn't tell you like how. But either way, we ended up getting that question wrong because we kind of forgot about one other thing going on around that time, and it's daylight savings time. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Daylight savings time this year is going to be November 3rd. So it's going to be a few days after this episode gets posted. So please remember that. We are falling back, so you get an extra hour of sleep. An extra hour of sleep, and if you are overtime, that means that you get an extra hour of work that you didn't have to work. That's awesome. But that is it for the round 1 questions that I'm going to be talking about. We're now going to be talking about our round 2 questions, which our round 2 was the name the round. This is the one where we had to come up with the theme idea. Okay, so each question had to do with a specific thing, and if we got the question right, then we were able to figure out what the theme was. But we couldn't figure out if we got it right or wrong until after the round. So we kind of had to hope that we had the question right. But I will say it wasn't until question 2 and 3 that Brandon and Bree were able to catch on to what the theme for the question was. I haven't even mentioned like who was on my team this week or the week of this trivia. This trivia was actually other Brandon, Bree, of course, and Becky. So it was actually just the 4 of us. So it was 2 Brandons, Bree, and a Becky. Oh my God, it was 4 Bs. Wow. All right. All the Bs in our little group decided to join up. Oh, that's funny. I didn't even realize that till now. All right. So our round 2, where our 4th question of the night, we were talking about a 2020 animal documentary that came out during the pandemic. And I remember this so well. I wasn't the one to answer this because I was kind of reminiscing, but I remember this so well because during the pandemic, we were still doing weekly video calls for office. Well, not weekly. We were doing daily. We were doing daily check-ins for everybody just to make sure that, one, we were still okay. Two, that we were doing what we were supposed to do. And three, if there was any changes that need to be made. Because at that time, I was working with one of the local school districts. So we needed to make sure that everybody was still doing their job. Still doing their job the best that they could, whether or not there was a pandemic going on, because, that's what teachers do. But one of the big things that one of the vice principals were talking about was this documentary, because it had just come out, and just to actually get it out there, it was Tiger King. It was Tiger King that came out at that time that we were all talking about, because it was the craze. Oh my gosh. I think everybody on the staff was watching it just to kind of stay on top with what was going on Netflix. It took me a few weeks to actually get into that trend, just because people were talking about things that I was just like, I have no idea what you're saying to me. Like, what? Who's this? Huh? And then I watched it and I was just like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense now. But then I do have to go on to our next question. Oh, this one is funny because our question 7, I don't remember how he worded the question, but the answer was the Marvel movie Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think it was where one of those questions where Becky was just like, is that what they're called? Do they actually call themselves? Like, did someone give them that name? Like, what's going on? And it's just so funny trying to explain that, because it's all fictional. So and she's aware of that, but it's just like, yes, no, they call themselves Guardians of the Galaxy. Then why is the movie called that? Is it because that's their group name? Who called them that? It's just like, they do. But why do they call themselves that? Because they're egotistical. They think very highly of themselves, just like some of us do. Oh my goodness. No, it was, I wish I could remember the full interaction, but it was just hilarious how Becky was just like, why are they called the Guardians of the Galaxy? And why are they calling themselves that? Oh man. I love the group of friends that I have. I really do. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our round 3 categories, where this one was talking about movies. So this one had to do with different actors from different movie franchises, whether it was just a one hit or a series, or had to do with one actor that had to do one character. Last episode, we talked about how there was a Chinese actor that got the highest record of playing the same character 77 times. This is actually where that round was. I don't remember, and I did not write the names, unfortunately, to be able to further explain this. But I will say one of the questions that we had was about name one of the 2 actors who played James Bond the most. James Bond the most. So that means that there's 2 options, but in order to get full points, we had to name just one. I don't think there's anything special if we get 2, which, Ryan, if you're listening, that could be something. I don't know, but that's on you. That's on you. That's your game. So, we kind of threw out some names. We knew one for sure, and that was the one that we went ahead and answered. The other one that was correct, the name was thrown out, but we weren't too sure. There's another actor. I am terrible with names. I can draw you the face. I can draw you the face of this person, but I could not tell you their name. But the person that it wasn't, that we also were thinking was on Mamma Mia. He was one of the 3 potential dads. I think Pierce Brosnan isn't. No, that's not. Man, my grandmother would be ashamed of me. But so the name that we went with. No, actually, I'll go with the name that we didn't go with. The name that we didn't go with was Roger Moore. That was the name that was thrown out that we weren't too sure. So because of that, we were just like, well, we'll put it to the side just in case we can't think of anyone else. But the other name, one of the first names that we actually said was Sean Connery. Sean Connery and Roger Moore apparently did James Bond about the same time, or they were, I don't remember how he worded it, but those were the 2 that did it, that played James Bond the most. So good job to us for knowing that. That's the only question that I can really remember for round 3. We're going to go ahead and go to round 4, which was high school reading. So how this question was each question had to do with a book that is on a list of high school reading. Didn't matter if you were a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. This book should have been on your high school reading list, and most of these were actually for me. But I didn't get too many notes on this because I was kind of too in the moment and also had a lot of experimental drinks. This was when I was on drink number maybe 3. Yeah, I think this was drink number 3. Yeah, but either way, the 2 that I do want to talk about are round 4, question 8. Yeah, round 4, question 8. So he asked, what character with a name that is a palindrome gets caught in trouble and gets sent to a camp where he has to dig for treasure. Apparently some people were stumped on the palindrome part, which is kind of surprising because palindromes are fun to point out and find, like Race Car and Taco Cat. Those are fun, awesome palindromes. In case you don't know what a palindrome is where a word is the same forward and backwards in spelling. And it doesn't have to be a word. It can also be a sentence. Couldn't tell you a sentence right now, but that's how it works. It's a sentence or phrase that is spelled the same forward and backwards. Like mom and dad and wow. Granted, those are all 3-letter words, but those are all still considered palindromes because they're the same spelled forward and backwards. But that's not the one that I really want to talk about. The one that I really want to talk about is the last question of this round. The last question of this round was about Fahrenheit 451, because he asked about books that were banned and being burned. So that's kind of what told us. But the interesting part is the part where Bree told us that there was actually a book that you have to burn it if you actually want to read it. And she showed us a video of it later on in the night. And it's amazing. It is a pure black book. But as soon as this person takes a lighter, starts it up, and just puts it up against the page, the black disappears and reveals the words. It's amazing. If I'm able to find this footage and put it up on the video, please take a look at it, because apparently there was only a few copies of that made just to really emphasize the point of this book. But gosh darn, that really that's an impression. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an impression for a book. That is how you know what you're doing. Or at least in my opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's fine. But honestly, that's that's what I'd say. You know what you're doing when it comes to different books, or like how to sell a book, especially one that's talking about books being banned for their general topic. I don't know. I think we need to relook into those books that are banned and see why exactly they were banned. Because if anything, we could just control, kind of like video games. We could put like ratings, like age ratings is like M for mature or E for everybody, just stuff like that. But that's just me. I don't know if they would actually want to do something like that. And plus it never works. No matter what you do, people are still going to find banned books. People are still going to find books that are mature, even though they're like 12. No matter what we do, whether it's games, movies, books, music, people are going to find a way. That's just how it is. People are going to find a way. If they're really like gung-ho about trying to find out what's going on, they're going to find a way. And with that, that's all I have to really say about the round 4 questions. We're going to go ahead and go on to our round 5. Now, round 5, we did kind of talk about in last week's episode, where it was the show me your tit. So this one, this one is a round where the word had to have TIT. In that order, right next to each other, it had to have the word tit in it. And all the answers did. Some of them we were able to get, some of them we were not. I think for this round, it was only one question for this round that we missed getting. Two. And we're going to be talking about both of those. The first one was actually the first question, which is, what is the dot on top of an I called? What is the dot on top of an I called? Honestly, we were stumped. I've never heard of what the dot on top of an I was called before. And I knew that the like swiggle on top of an N in Spanish is called a tilde, because that's what really gives like the señor, like that different sound in Spanish. But the dot on top of an I don't even know if there's a name for the line that goes through a T. Because, people always say, dot your I's, cross your T's. Does the line across the T have its own name? I might have to look that up later. But I will say, for those of you that are curious, the dot on top of an I is called a tittle. That's Tittle. A tittle. That's amazing. I didn't realize there was a word for it. It's just like the plastic part on the end of a shoelace. It's called an aglet, in case you didn't know. AGLET, aglet. It's one of my favorite things from Phineas and Ferb. Thank you, Phineas and Ferb. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about question 8. This is the big moment that we all had. Because we honestly had no idea. This was the question that was a sub-killer reason. That was the entire question. A sub-killer reason. This is the one that we weren't sure if it was a submarine, if it was a sub-sandwich, if it was someone being submissive. Like, we had no idea, and we tried getting clarification, and all he said was sub-killer reason. We could not think of that one at all. I don't even think we put an answer down for that question. But either way, like, thankfully our other group, because at that time, like we talked about last episode, is our group was so large that we actually split up into 2 different teams to like compete against each other, where we were something minions. Oh, I don't remember the name of our team. Oh no. Oh well, it'll come back to me later. But then the other team was the dumber half. Well, the dumber half just, for some odd reason, it clicked for them. It clicked. This was a round that they got every single question right. They did not miss a single thing, and they didn't cheat. Like, that is one thing that I will say about our group, whether we split up or not, we do not cheat. Because we are proud trivia players and we pride ourselves on going off of the knowledge of our people. Now, I will say that they did have a random person join their group that was from the bar that I think Seth was just like, oh, hey, you're here by yourself? Oh, come join us. I don't know. I didn't get full details. All I know is that it was about round 4, maybe round 3, that they had like a random person join their table. No idea. Like, I saw him at the bar because like he was there when I was getting my drink before, but yeah, he just randomly joined the table group. I don't know what's going on. So, all right, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I heard a knock at the door. It's just Pablo. He just knocked on the door for some reason, but he's got a key. He was able to get himself in. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our round 5 questions. Round 6, I have no idea how in order to really express these questions for you, because these were all one-hit wonder questions. And I'd have to really play the song. This was one where we got a small snippet of the song, had the 30 seconds between questions, songs, and then he played the next thing. So I really have no way to fully express. I can tell you the songs that he played, which were, let's see, Too Sexy by Deadhead Fred, Whip It by Devo, Take On Me, Aha, Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus, We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister, What Is Love by Hideaway, Rock Me Amadeus by Falco, 8675309 by Tommy Two-Tone, Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot, and then the last one was Bust a Move, Young NC. At that time for round 6, in order for us to lose, we would have had to miss every single question. And I mean every single question for round 6. We missed, let's see. Well, we didn't miss, I think we missed one. Yeah, we missed one, but we got at least the song or the artist for every single one. Some of them we got both, but some of the others we got either one or the other. So it still counted. And we ended the game out of 600 points possible. We ended the game with 530. 530. And I will say that at the end of round 5, we ended the game with 450. So, yeah. It was a good game. It was a good game for us. But yeah, that was the end of that week of trivia. I will keep you updated. We'll talk about well, actually, Bree will have to be the one that talks about it because I will be missing that trivia for that recording of the podcast. But I know she'll be full of energy. She'll be able to remember every question, unlike me. But in the meantime, that is going to be it. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember you can find us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. All you have to do is look for us at BBL After Trivia on all 3 of those platforms. Please remember to put After Trivia or else you're going to be finding some interesting things. But that is, again, BBL After Trivia. Bree does do daily questions. She is the one running our Instagram page, so please be nice. She is doing this out of the goodness of her heart, and she is trying to make sure that she has time every day to do this. She is still doing this during her job. So, and we're not paying her yet. We're hoping that this gets to a point where we can pay her. So please be nice and just answer the question, whether you are following us or not. Find someone, share it with your friends, whether you like the podcast or not. Like, just share us, because that's the only way we can get out there, is if you share our podcast with you, so that way we can share our knowledge with them, because that's really all it is. That's what Bring Brotherly Love is sharing kindness to everyone. But ladies and gentlemen, if you also have a question for us that you want to share, you can email us at bblaftertrivia@gmail.com. If it's a question that you want to ask the group, just put trivia in the subject line. If it's a question that you want to ask for the show, just do a FAQ. And if it's a fun fact that you'd like to share, just put fun fact in the subject line, and we'll be able to read your questions and comments there. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Brandon. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great night, and we will be back later. Bye. Hello, everybody, and this is another episode of BBL.